Dr. Phillip Boda, and I am an assistant professor in the College of Education in the Special Education Department. For me, in my experiences, most of the things that I do are civic engagement in the sense that my goal as a research scholar and as a public intellectual is to support people to understand how to gain access and opportunity in broader society, in particular around the policy process. So civic engagement for me is much more than participating in the political process as it is, and really much more focused on how do regular people make sense of the political process when they're faced with many different challenges that they're not trained for. Most of my research right now and the projects that I'm doing is focused on marginalized populations who don't get access to inclusive and legible tools and inclusive and legible information. So, for example, when we are working with the Southwest Side and thinking about environmental issues in terms of air quality, we often explore how the people are making sense of already existing tools, and then we have now broached into creating more agency-based tools so that when we talk about civic engagement, we focus on the population that we are trying to serve as the main participants in the research process and the development of the artifacts that we use to help communities engage with politicians. Honestly, it's been a few different people, and they all have the same thing in common, which is they were humble. So when I started my career in undergraduate, I'm a published biochemist as well. I was working with a biochemist or organic chemist and a physical chemist who were all had its own research group. And one thing that I always remembered is that if it wasn't their expertise, they deferred to someone who it was their expertise. And I saw that again when I was in my doctoral degree, when my sponsor, the main person for your PhD, was primarily quant, right? So, he sort of knew where his shtick is. And when it came to judge or have extended commentary on the quality of the components and things that he wasn't so familiar with, he also deferred to others. And so I think for me, it modeled the way that researchers say they try to enact civic engagement, in the sense that they're trying to work with people, but sometimes they're not humble enough to say that they actually don't know the answer to the question. And I think the biggest thing that we can do to really push what we mean by civic engagement and model the process and model the ability to work with communities is to stay humble. We have to know where we do have expertise, where we have our proximal locus of power. And when we start, in the sciences, we call this epistemically trespassing. And when we start trespassing into disciplines where we might not be the biggest expert, we need to take a step back and admit that we might not know what we're talking about. People, and particularly people less fortunate than me. So I grew up pretty rough, working class, single parent household. And at the same time, I knew that people had it worse than me. I was told over and over again to, count your blessings, to think about what you have and to be grateful. And I think I took those lessons going forward when I'm thinking about research and when I'm thinking about engagement with communities and politicians, because I always try to center those that are most impacted. So if it is the communities, like the citizens in Chicago per se, that are being impacted, yes, the aldermen have a place to sort of speak on it, but the aldermen might not necessarily be so impacted by that work. And so my motivation is always, what do the people that are being impacted have to say? And where are their lives, hopes, and dreams being infused and interwoven into the narratives when we speak about civic engagement? Fair trade with cream.